Hello everyone! Welcome to the channel Learn English. Today we are talking about art. Art is so fantastic and unexpected. Do you know what trends of painting exist? Let's see. Trends of art. Folk art. Folk art covers all forms of visual art made in the context of folk culture. Generally, the objects have practical use. It uses the materials which are at hand and reproduces familiar shapes and forms. It was created to serve some function in the daily life of the household or the community. The makers of folk art are normally trained within a popular tradition rather than in the fine art tradition of the culture. Icon. An icon is a religious work of art, most commonly a painting in the culture of the Eastern Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, the Roman Catholic, and certain Eastern Catholic churches. They are not simply artworks. An icon is a sacred image used in religious devotion. The most common subjects include Christ, Mary, saints, and angels. Primitive art. Primitivism is a kind of aesthetic idealization that copies or recreates primitive experience. Painters imitate the style of the people that live beyond civilization. Primitive art has no interest in realism. Its purpose is to engage with the spirit world. The images, masks, and statues suitable for dealing with spirits are not made according to the laws of perspective. They are seen with the eye of magic. Abstract art. Abstract art uses visual language of shape, form, color, and line to create a composition. This art is based on object, figure, or landscape, where forms have been simplified or schematized. It tries to reproduce an illusion of visible reality. Abstraction means a departure from reality and depiction of imagery in art. Total abstraction bears no trace of any reference to anything recognizable. Avant-garde. The avant-garde works are experimental, radical, or unorthodox with respect to art, culture, or society. Being avant-garde involves exploring new artistic methods or experimenting with new techniques in order to produce better art. The avant-garde pushes the boundaries of what is accepted as the norm or the status quo, primarily in the cultural realm. The emphasis here is on design rather than accident. Avant-garde became a symbol of progress, exploration, and innovation, of everything and anyone ahead of their time and ways of doing. Classicism. Classicism in the arts refers generally to a high regard to a classical period, classical antiquity in the Western tradition. The characteristics of classicism can be perceived with simple sight since in all its work the basis of the same, the perfection of the human being, stand out. Classical art is renowned for its harmony, balance, and sense of proportion. In its painting and sculpture, it employs idealized figures and shapes and treats its subjects in an emotionally neutral manner. Color is always subordinated to line and composition. Futurism. Fascinated by new industry and thrilled by the early 20th century, futurists carved out a place in history. Futurism was an artistic and social movement that originated in Italy in the early 20th century. It emphasizes speed, technology, use, violence, and objects such as the car, the airplane, and the industrial city. Futurist painting used elements of Neo-Impressionism and Cubism to create compositions that expressed the idea of dynamism, the energy and movement of modern life. In fact, it was one of the most politicized art forms of the 20th century. Impressionism. Impressionism was developed in the early 1860s. Instead of painting in a studio, the Impressionists found that they could capture the momentary and transient effects of sunlight by working quickly in front of their subjects in the open air rather than in studio. This resulted in a greater awareness of light and color and the shifted pattern of the natural scene. Brushwork became rapid and broken into separate depths in order to render the fleeting quality of light. The style, methods, and topics of Impressionism rejected previous historical painting, replacing carefully hidden brush strokes of historical events with the visible, thick, bright colors of modern scenes. Realism. Realism, sometimes called naturalism, in the arts is generally the attempt to represent subject matter truthfully, without artificiality and avoiding speculative fiction and supernatural elements. In the visual arts, realism is the accurate depiction of life forms, perspective, and the details of light and color. Artists working in the realist style rejected a heightened sense of emotion. This style of realist painting spread to almost all genres, including history painting, portraits, genre painting, and landscapes. The style retains its influence on the visual arts to this day. You've just heard about trends in art. Thank you for attention. In the next video, you'll know about genres of art. Let's learn and improve English together.